everyone, it's Nora. Welcome back to my knitting podcast. I think this is episode 8 of the You Have Got to Be Knitting Me knitting podcast. And I'm here to talk about knitting and more. To kind of go over what we're going to talk about today, I have 2 finished things to show you, a sweater and a pair of socks, and another pair of socks that is on the needles, a few future knits that I have the yarn for that I want to talk about, and a little extra, we're going to dive into my Nana's old knitting patterns. I have some fun things to show you from there, and then we'll talk about TV and media at the end, have a little catch up. But yeah, just before we talk about knitting, the first thing I want to say is I am You Have Got to Be Knitting Me on Instagram and TikTok, and then just Nora Byron on Ravelry if you want to follow me on other places. I have all my project pages for my projects on Ravelry if you have questions about mainly yarn. I usually have all the yarn listed on my Ravelry project pages, and then I really like making TikTok, so you should follow me on TikTok and Instagram just to kind of round out that whole tasks I'm giving you. But yeah, oh, and the other thing I want to talk about before we get started is I am wearing my Strippy Stripey tank top by James N. Watts, which just came out on Sunday. So if you had watched my last couple episodes and were really excited about the pattern I was test knitting, is now available to purchase on Ravelry and knit. So I recommend knitting it, and I wanted to wear it for this episode. It is currently over 80 degrees on Cape Cod, and I have the windows closed because the cicadas are here and they're really noisy, so it's really hot, and so I needed to definitely wear a cute knit tank for this episode because it is really hot. But let's get on to the knitting. Okay, the first finished object I'll just talk about because it's already been gifted, but on my last episode I had finished all of the knitting for the donkey that I was making for my friend Abby. Last week it was a surprise who it was for. Now I can say it was for Abby. And I finished it and gave it to her this weekend because her birthday is this week. We went up to a hostel in North Conway and had a cozy weekend and got to see some friends that I haven't seen in a while. And it was a really fun place to be. And I used to work at a summer camp near North Conway, so just driving around that area was really nostalgic. Like the McDonald's, I was like, oh, you always used to go to that McDonald's. And there was a huge sign behind it, a huge billboard for North Conway cremation services, like giant, like right behind the McDonald's. I thought that was so funny because that is new and did not used to be there. Just kind of adds to the New Hampshire aesthetic. Anyway, so yeah, the donkey is all done. She was stuffed. I did not end up making new overalls. That was something I was a little worried about. I was a little worried about the overalls fitting, and there was a few, like, it just wasn't as neat. The stitches that I had to pick up vertically I wasn't really happy with, but when it blocked it looked really good, and especially when the overalls is kind of stretched over the body of the animal, it really smoothed out all of those seams and it looked really good. So I'll put some finished object pictures and video here, and I also have a like step-by-step, not like a tutorial, but like just a step-by-step video of the donkey on TikTok, which I thought was really cute. So if you want to see more of it, but it was given this weekend and I wasn't able to finish another episode. I wasn't able to film the episode before I gave it away, so we don't have a finished donkey to show, but love that pattern. It's from the Mochi and Friends book by Cinthia Vallet. I talked about it a lot last week, so if you're interested in especially knitting stuffed animals, I would recommend watching my last episode where I talk about it in a lot more detail. But I just wanted to give you the update that the donkey has been given to its owner, her owner, and I think her name ended up being Jane or Janie. So that's the story of the donkey. Okay, so my next finished object is fresh off the blocking mats. Oh, I kind of have the other finished object folded in here. Fresh off the blocking mats, this was a partial whip. Oh, there's a little end I haven't cut. A partial whip last time, but this is the Wavy sweater or Wavy pullover by Josefine Dyring. Here are the sleeves, and it is a full turtleneck. And I just chose to make this striped. The original sample, I believe, is all solid red color, and then another picture, a few pictures in the pattern were striped, but I was seeing a lot of striped versions on Instagram, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I went into my stash and just kind of got, the pattern's written for bulky weight, and I don't really have any bulky weight in my stash. I almost never knit with that. So this is probably in between worsted and bulky, and you can kind of tell, like if you're looking at it like this, you can kind of tell that the fabric is like slightly different, especially because there's so many textures in here. But I would say the yarn is between worsted and bulky. It's like a combination of lots of yarns held together, but most commonly it's like a worsted held with a mohair. But I just went to my stash and got all blues and greens from all over my collection. Speaking of my Nana, this yarn is from my Nana from like, I just like keep yarn for so, like I never am gonna throw out yarn because like I always use my scraps, always. But this my Nana gave me like maybe when I was in middle school, and I have never knit with it, and I was like, finally I'm gonna use it for this pattern because it fits with the color palette. I just think I couldn't identify like the weight of it, so I never could use it for like a standalone project. Anyway, so I always feel like when I film this, like I filmed a few TikToks where I was holding it up, and I feel like the sleeves look very strange. When you have it on, it fits like down to my wrist, but I feel like they look really short and skinny. It looks great on. I do have a little bit of worries about the turtleneck really is turtlenecking. And I know I didn't knit it as long as she said to in the pattern. And it's like really like folded over, it comes right up to here. So I might end up pulling out a few rows, but I'm gonna make that decision when it's not 80 degrees out, because I did put it on today and I was like, oh. So that's just a little bit of advice. If you knit this pattern, maybe knit the turtleneck a little shorter. Again, I didn't do a gauge swatch for this, so this all could be problems that I created for myself. Oh, back to the yarn weight, because it's slightly less than what the pattern is written for. I didn't do a gauge swatch, but I did go down 1 needle size for the ribbing and for the regular body of the sweater, the stockinette part. Another recommendation I have for this pattern is it is super, super simple. Anyone can knit it. It's just knitting, purling, decreasing. You have to knit in the round and in flat. Knitting, purling, decreasing, yarn overs, and picking up stitches. But the pattern is written, so it's a super simple pattern to knit, but the pattern is also written like very simply to like some instructions are only a sentence long, so that might be a little confusing for beginner knitters. So that it technically it is a beginner knitter pattern. The way it is written, I recommend anyone can do it. I just am giving you the advice going into it that some of the instructions are a little bit too simple, that it would be confusing if you're not someone who's knit a million sweaters before and just know what to do. So that's a little advice I'm giving to you, but I highly recommend this pattern. I'm definitely going to knit others by this designer. I honestly might knit another one of this because it was so fun to pick out the colors. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. No. Yeah, it's super cute. Oh, it reminds me of, and I went online to look at this photo, and I guess I'm kind of misremembering it, but it really reminds me of Lindsay from Freaks and Geeks. When I know, like, she's kind of, it's iconic. Her iconic outfit is the army jacket, but I always felt like she was wearing a striped turtleneck underneath it, and there's some scenes where she takes her jacket off, but I went online because this sweater was reminding me so much of her, and I think it's not a turtleneck what she's wearing. She's just wearing a striped like, long sleeve, but the colors reminded me of that show and kind of her style, so it's kind of a Lindsay sweater. That's the last thing I want to say about that. And my last finished object, I don't think I showed you at all when it was a work in progress. These oh god. These socks are the breakfast socks by Knitail. I have them on the sock blockers. They're so pretty. The yarn is Ritual Dyes. The base is called Maiden, and the colorway is New Growth, and I got it at Knit Club. And it's really pretty because like butter yellow is such a trendy color, which I love. Yellow is my favorite color. More of a golden yellow is my favorite color, but I love all yellow representation. But I like how this is like butter yellow with a twist because it's like a little green, so really cute. But I'll show you the pattern like this way, and then I'll explain the stitches. Maybe I should have taken these are like also kind of fresh off the sock blockers. They, well, obviously, but they just finished drying. Yeah, it has this little diamond pattern. I think it's so pretty with these like kind of like eyelets up the side. But okay, so it's called the Breakfast Socks by Knitail. And the stitches are called the breakfast stitch, and I'm just pointing that out because this pattern looks super complicated, but it's really simple. And the two stitches are kind of just how you make faux cables. This one is called, I think she calls them like a knot stitch and an eyelet stitch, but it's super simple. I sometimes find in cable, I love knitting cable socks, but I sometimes find there's always like a row of the pattern that I'm dreading if it's like a really tight cable or something. But this pattern is really exciting and easy, like simple to remember and so like I always have to have the chart in front of me, but it's a very easy, like the same stitches every row. So I highly recommend this pattern, especially if you're like new to reading charts or cable socks, because the stitches, like, it looks really fancy, but it's pretty simple. So love these socks, and I love the way they fit, and I really like, I have a lot of shoes that I like to wear cable socks with. So yeah, here they are one last time. And I love Knitail. I've knit a lot of her patterns. I really love like cable and lace socks. I think are so pretty, and I really like to make as well. Yeah, so the breakfast socks, and those are all my finished projects for this episode. So I only have one work in progress this week. It's these socks, this sock. If you watch my last episode, I knit a different sock in the same pattern. Let me take this needle out. It is called the Simply Ribbed Sock with Square Heel by This Handmade Life. And again, this is my second time knitting the pattern. I really like it. I think this is going to be my go-to like plain sock pattern. I really like the way they fit. I wore my other pair to the hostel in North Conway this weekend, and I really liked the way they fit. They were super comfortable, and the heel, it's all ribbed all the way down the foot, and with a square heel, which is kind of hard to see if it's not on, but really comfortable and really stays on your foot. So I highly recommend this pattern, and it starts with a two-reeler cast on, which I love. Looks so nice and it's fun to do, and it goes like 1 by 1 rib, and then it goes to 2 by 2 rib, which I think is really pretty. But yeah, this is my second time knitting these socks, and I really like this pattern. And the yarn, oh yeah, is Fire Opal in Twist Light from Madelinetosh. I prefer, this is kind of, I talk about every episode now, but I really prefer the Twist Light base to the Tosh sock base if you're going fingering weight Madelinetosh. I like this one a lot. This is the Fire Opal colorway. I ordered this online because at Knit Club they had it in DK weight in person, and I was like, I need that, but I don't usually knit with DK weight, or I don't usually just buy a DK weight skein of yarn with no project in mind where I knew I would knit a pair of socks with these, so I ordered this one online from Madelinetosh. Yeah, so I just have the toe left of this sock, and then the next one, and yeah, I only have this as a whip. I really like knitting it. I did get a little bored last night of just the ribbing, but yeah, I think it's so funny when you knit ribbed socks and it looks so strange. Oh, the other, the last pair I made, the leg is 7.5 inches, and they're a little too long, so this is 6.5 inches. Hopefully this will look better. Yeah, so these are my Simply Ribbed Socks with Square Heel by This Handmade Life. Beautiful. Okay, next I want to show you the projects that I have coming up next. I have a pair of socks planned, but I'll just show you those when I'm knitting them, but I have 2 garments planned that I just got the yarn for that I want to show. Or I've just, the other one's a long story. I didn't get the yarn, but I'll explain in a second. The first thing, I'm being a little impatient because the pattern isn't released yet, but when she called for testers, this is Emma Knits, or Emma's Knits. I'll put her handle here. And I have everything, all the links and patterns and yarn I mentioned is always written in the description of the videos if you're ever wondering what I'm talking about. But Emma's Knits, she posted the Althea top and was calling for testers like at the end of April. And I could have applied to test knit, but I was kind of like in between which size I would make, and I didn't want to apply for one size and then knit the other. So I didn't apply for the test knit, but she thankfully gave all of the yarn and yardage and sizing and stuff information in the test knit, like when she was calling for it in the Instagram post, which I wish more designers did, because then you can prep for projects. Like, I know sometimes it might change if test knitters have like big feedback or whatever, but like I was able to buy this yarn before the pattern came out. So like when the pattern comes out, I'm just gonna be able to knit it. But I was being a little, not impatient, because I'm not like, where the heck's the pattern? I just am being like proactive. But anyway, the test knit was due yesterday, so any minute now, hopefully the pattern's released. I'm really excited. It's a super cute tank top that has like kind of piping here and then an I-cord thread through it, and so you tie it, and so the like sides like cinch up a little bit and have little bows. Super cute. So I ordered 4 skeins of this yarn, which is the recommended yarn for the pattern. That's why I ordered the yarn, because I knew I was going to buy the yarn recommended for the pattern, so I didn't really think anything was going to change in the testing process. But this is BC Garn, Summer in Kashmir, 90% cotton, 10% cashmere. It looks very little. I hope it's enough. Only 200 grams. I hope it's enough. Well, that's what it said in the pattern, but it doesn't look like enough. It's color 25, this dusty turquoise blue. Yeah, I think it's really pretty, and I hope the pattern's released soon so I can knit it, but in the meantime, I just can enjoy how beautiful this yarn is. So that will be coming up soon whenever the pattern's released. The Althea top. And then a few episodes ago, I showed my moonflower pullover and was like, I think I'm gonna frog this. I did frog it, and I blocked the yarn again and hung it to dry, and then wound it into balls and caked it. And I'm going to use this as color 1 of my Olga sweater by Petite Knit, which is a striped pullover. So this is going to be color 1. This is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted in the color Green Tea Heather. And so this is my moonflower pullover that was frogged, plus I have 1 skein of yarn that hasn't been used yet. So this is more than enough. I think I have like 400, almost 500 yards or grams. I'm not sure, but I have more than enough to knit the sweater. But I just wanted to say, I just had this pop into my head that I am filming, this is kind of a teaser for, I'm going to film I started filming like a vlog documenting the process of frogging the moonflower pullover to finishing the Olga sweater. So I have all of this yarn prep process documented in a vlog that will be posted soon, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited to be filming kind of a different type of video. So yeah, this is color 1 of my Olga pullover, and then I'm going to have every alternating stripe be a different color, also of Wool of the Andes worsted. I'm not going to show you because this is kind of a mess, because I have so much of the same color of yarn, meaning I'm not going to show you every single yarn. I'm going to show you, I'll give you a little taste. Like I have like so much of the same color yarn in tiny balls, and so I'm just going to I'm trying to lessen the amount of tiny balls of yarn I have, so I'm going to knit them into the sweater. But that's the reason I have like all of the yarn is taking up so much space, is because it's like some of them I just have one ball of, but a lot of them are like, I have like 7 of these. So every stripe, there's only gonna be one stripe of each color, and I picked 20 alternating colors that is gonna be throughout the sweater. So, and I'm hoping like I can use these like over the sleeves and over like the chest where it's gonna break. There's gonna be color breaks for the collar. Like I'm gonna be able to use up these tiny balls of yarn, which I'm really excited for. The origin story of this is I really like working with this yarn. I kind of always have a big stock of this yarn in my stash, and I made this blanket, which is all panels of intarsia, and they're double-sided. So the other side is like checkerboard. Very cool. This is kind of like my biggest piece to date. But the reason I have so many tiny balls of yarn is because I thought it would be nice to have 3 rows of single crochet in between each of these, and it looked so ugly, and I ripped it all out. I probably did like half of them. I did 3 rows of single crochet around all of them, or half of them, but all the way around, and it looked so ugly, and I'm so glad I ripped it all out. But that generated a lot of these, so I'm trying to get rid of those. And also I'm really excited to knit the sweater. So that is another project that is coming this way, is my Olga pullover. I'm going to cast this on probably next week or in 2 weeks, which I'll explain in a second. Those are my future knitting projects. Okay, now let's take a step down memory lane. My Nana died last summer, and my Bumpa died this April, my grandfather. He died this April, and I have just received my inheritance, which is all my Nana's knitting patterns. So I just want to show you some highlights. My Nana was a very big knitter and obviously really influenced me. My mom taught me how to knit. My mom / YouTube taught me how to knit, but my Nana taught me like kind of, she would make me rip out all of my mistakes and taught me how to be not a perfectionist, but like, you're gonna do this the right way. And I think I do kind of have that instilled in me. Like sometimes when I'm on TikTok and I see people really cutting corners with knitting, it stresses me out. And I think I inherited that from my Nana, because my Nana always taught me to like knit the right way. So like, speaking of this, it like all, because it's double-sided, all of the ends are hidden, and I tied all of the yarn and knots, and every time I did it, I'm like, my Nana would be so mad if she knew I was tying yarn and knots. She would never let me do that. But that's the kind of person my Nana was. Great lady, great knitter. But I just want to show you what's in here, because there's some real gems. First of all, I just think it's really funny that she wrote down like the tags that would say made by Phyllis or knit by Phyllis. She wrote down where she buys them, phone number, ID, how much 36 tags cost, how much shipping cost, and the total. I think that's really funny that she has that like itemized. But yeah, she has all these knitting patterns. She was really into printing out knitting patterns online, and there's some in here that I remember her emailing me and being like, can you send me a shawl pattern that I would like? And then I can see that's printed out in here, but I don't think she ever made the ones that I sent her. But I'm like, oh, there's a Petite, or there's Stephen West in my Nana's knitting collection. That was definitely from me, because I love, especially when I was in high school, like I love Stephen West so much. Okay, first thing I want to show is this Wild and Woolly animal sweaters, which is so funny. This like intarsia baby sweater elephant, but it's just so funny because I'm like, thank God I learned how to knit in the age of the internet and having my pattern on my iPad, because can you imagine knitting from this chart? Like, this is the entire front of the sweater. You're supposed to be like, okay, intarsia. So, and then also I think it's hilarious that in between the knitting patterns are all Weight Watcher popsicle ads. So that's kind of a fun piece of history. Okay. So yeah, she was really into printing out. See, here's more. This is more about the labels. Like, she has so much information about the labels documented. I don't know how many labels she was buying, but I actually have like Handmade by Nora labels, so I'm sure she bought them for me at least. So here's Manly Man scarves. This isn't a knitting pattern, I don't think. It's just like, oh, there's knitting patterns in here. I thought that was just a list. I don't know. But this is so good. I hope if you wrote this pattern and potentially was plagiarized by my Nana, please don't come for her copyright from beyond the grave. I know that she typed this out. Like, she saw it written somewhere and just went like to her computer and typed out all the instructions, like copied it. I think that's so just like classic Nana and so adorable. And then handwritten, she wrote, "You can use any multicolored yarn of this weight," and then taped a piece of yarn. I just love that. And oh yeah, it was for Noro Silk Garden Scarf. Yeah, so that's one of these. And then there's some gems in here and some Nora history in here. Yeah, this one. So yeah, the mittens, my Nana's mitten pattern's like pretty iconic. Everyone is always asking for a copy of that, so I have had that before. Oh, here's a newspaper article about a yarn store in Chatham that is unfortunately closed, so sad. It's always good to see like long division. That's a good part of history. Not everyone can do long division these days. Oh, another thing, I'm like, thank God I learned how to knit in the internet age. Like, imagine looking at this picture and being like, oh, so cute, can you make that for me? Fisherman's rib sweater. But I just wanted to show you a few more things in here. Yeah, like so many, like same as the Noro one that she typed out, so many of them, I can tell that she like maybe checked out a book from the library or found a knitting pattern from a friend and then just copied it down handwritten, which I think is really beautiful. I'm really glad that I have, like, I don't know if there are many patterns in this that I would knit, but there are. It's just like, I'm really glad that I have all of these memories and like handwriting and stuff. My Nana's name is Phyllis. I think I said that. Okay, we're getting to the exciting stuff. First, well, this is all exciting, but okay, also this is like a teen handwriting that's not mine, and I'm like, what other like young person was giving my Nana knitting patterns? I'm like, I don't know where this came from, but it's not from me. And anyway, more handwritten knitting patterns. And then this is what I want to show is that my Nana knit, I'm assuming, like my brother and sister have them, so I'm assuming she knit, I'm one of 10 grandchildren. I'm assuming she knit all of our stockings, but the stocking patterns are in here. And these are really classic. They're from Yankee Knitter Designs, and these are really classic patterns. I'm sure like you'll recognize, be like, oh my god, my Nana made me these. But I just wanted to show because this is the actual knitting pattern that my Nana made my stocking for in 1998, and it has like the stitches she filled in with pencils so she could knit Nora onto it. So I was really glad that I got this because this is my stocking that she made for me, and also if I have a family, I will be able to make the exact stockings to match the one that I have. Unfortunately, my brother, I don't want to blame my brother, but this was his fault, that my dog did really recently like bite a hole into my stocking. But thankfully I'm a skilled fiber artist and was able to fix it. But anyway, it's a little grudge I hold. But okay, so those are my stockings, and then last but not least, there's this really iconic photo of me. I'm gonna guess I'm like 7. And my Nana had made me, okay, first of all, I'm wearing, I'll just put the picture in, but I'm wearing a like machine made, like store-bought, okay, I'm not gonna be able to put this way. I have a store-bought sweater matching scarf, I think. Yes, sweater matching scarf. Again, I'm going to put the picture in, so why am I describing this? Then my Nana knit me with that like crazy art yarn, which people always give. It's so annoying when you knit, especially as a kid, and people gift you that like really annoying yarn that's like really annoying to knit with, but it's like really widely available, and people gift it to you and you're like, thanks, and you're never gonna be able to use it. Anyway, my Nana was able to use it, and she made me a purse and then matching flip-flops with these crazy yarn across the toes of the flip-flop. And I just am really excited to be able to tell you guys what that pattern is in case you want to recreate the look. It is Lion Brand Fun Fur Crochet Flip-Flops. There's actually two different copies of it, or two identical copies of this pattern, so maybe I could even mail you one. But yeah, so I'm just really excited that I now have the ability to knit those flip-flops that I had or crochet those flip-flops I had when I was like 7 or 8, and potentially recreate that iconic look. So yeah, really excited to share those things from my Nana's knitting collection and walk down a little bit of my own history and knitting history in general. I'm very grateful that I have these. Earlier when I took the needle out of the socks, I like put it in my notebook, and I would have been very sad if I lost it there. That would have been really sad. So thankfully I moved it over to just loosely be sitting on my bed, so another opportunity for it to be lost. I'm not talking about books right now. I will in a second. We reached the catch up and media portion of this knitting podcast. For TV, I finished Hacks. Love Hacks. Especially season 4, the addition of the character Randy. So good. Love Hacks. Then I watched like 2 episodes of The Studio. I don't know if I'm gonna go back. It was good, but like, I don't know if I'm gonna go back to watching it. And then I watched 1 episode of this show called Shrink, which I was watching because it's on Peacock, and I got one of those like fancy things where you like sign up for Peacock just to watch trailers and then cancel it, and then they're like, do you want it for only $1.99 a month for 6 months? And I was like, sure. So I have Peacock right now, which I only usually have for 1 month a year so I can watch trailers, but they won me over with their upselling. So I was watching Shrink, but I only watched 1 episode. It has BJ from Righteous Gemstones, and I love Righteous Gemstones. That show is so funny. So anything with any of those actors in it, and I assumed that Righteous Gemstones was his first thing because I hadn't seen him before, but the show's pretty funny. It's only 1 season, but I saw that when the credits rolled, I saw that it was only that episode is directed by Graham Linehan, who is the creator of IT Crowd and Father Ted. And I love those shows, especially when I was in high school. Like, IT Crowd was like formative for me. Unfortunately, Graham Linehan is extremely transphobic, and so I was a little shocked to see his name. But then I just did a little Google, and he only directed that episode. So I'll probably continue to watch Shrink. It's about a therapist. I think it's called. There's another show called Shrinking. That's not what it is. I think it's just called Shrink. So watching Shrink. Hate Graham Linehan. Yeah, those are my TVs. And then for a book, I'm reading this book. It's called My Husband by Maud Ventura. It's French and it's translated by Emma Ramadan. I like it, but I'm not like obsessed with it. But the reason I kind of had that moment when I picked up the book is I just wanted to talk about how I was kind of in a reading slump, and I think it's over. Even though I don't enjoy this book, I'm still enjoying reading, and it's only 200 pages and I'm already 100 pages in, so I'm going to finish it. Also, it's one of those books that like the space between the paragraphs is really big, so you like fly through a page. So I think it would be kind of a waste not to finish this, but basically I was reading in between episodes. I just finished a book called Something Rotten. Again, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it, but it definitely got me out of my reading slump, because I think for the last couple of months I've been like forcing myself to read and hating it, even if I enjoy the book. And now I'm not picking the books that I like that much, but I'm enjoying reading. And after this, I'm going to start reading it. Even though I said I was going to reread it to get me out of my reading slump, I'm now out of my reading slump, but I'm still going to reread it. So I love Stephen King, and I'm excited to revisit that big tome. But yeah, My Husband, Maud Ventura, it's about, I thought it was gonna be more of a thriller, and I think that's why I don't like it. It's about a woman who's like so obsessed with her husband, but she's like changing her personality, and she's like ruminating on him, and it seems like he doesn't really know her, and she doesn't actually really know him very well. But I thought this was gonna be more of a thriller, and it's more just like her thoughts and rumination, and maybe it was gonna culminate in something sensational, but right now it's just kind of her thoughts, so it's just not what I was expecting. So that's the book I'm reading. And basically when I was like, I'll talk about when I'm going to start my Olga sweater later, it's not really exciting in the knitting podcast realm, but it's really exciting for me. I'm having a little staycation in Washington, D.C. My friend Ben, I'm going to be house sitting for him and taking care of his cats. I'm so excited. All my besties live in DC, and I'm hoping to move there soon, but right now I'm just going on a little staycation, and I'm going to be there for 2 weeks taking care of the cats, and I'm so excited to kind of cosplay as a DC girl, and I'm going to start my Olga sweater when I get to DC. So that's, because I always like stress out about travel knitting, and then I end up not knitting as much as I think I'm going to, but because I'm like staying there for a long time and have my own space, I'm definitely gonna be knitting. But that's gonna be what I cast on for my DC trip, and I'm so excited. And I'm also, that's kind of why I started the vlog for the Olga sweater, because I'm gonna be able to feature the cats in it. So I'm gonna be kind of like, I haven't asked permission from Ben, but I'm kind of being toddler and tiaras as cats, and they're gonna be really featured in a lot of my content because they're really cute and I love them. But yeah, stay tuned for my DC adventure. I'm really excited. Yeah, I'm really excited to be with my friends and just kind of shake up my life. Yeah, so those are all my updates and all my knitting, and I have lots of exciting things to cast on, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited to go to DC, and I thank you all for watching. I hope you liked a little dive into my Nana's knitting books. I thought that was really fun. Yeah, happy knitting, and I'll see everyone soon. Bye.